Hi, I'm Laura Flanders, and this is CityWorks, the show about work and working people. CityWorks is a co-production of the School of Labor and Urban Studies at the City University of New York and CUNY TV. Teachers in states across the country have been taking to the streets and making news. The wave of teacher-led strikes this past year and what they won are the focus of today's program. Coming up, an interview with Stacy Davis-Gates, Vice President of the Chicago Teachers Union, about that union's historic strike in October of 2019. First, excerpts of a talk given by American Federation of Teachers President Randi Weingarten at the CUNY School of Labor and Urban Studies. The topic, Going Big, Expanding Labor Rights in the 21st Century. Here's Randi.
What happened in West Virginia? Why did this? What was the spark? What was the kind of tipping point? And I think what has happened is a couple of things. First, how low can you go? Until people decide enough is enough. And with social media, I would actually argue after the Trump victory and with the advent of social media and Facebook, so people could actually communicate more, and with what happened with the women's marches, remember my union is disproportionately female, that once people started building community, which is what Facebook did for people in West Virginia, they started talking to each other and saying, on a snow day, what the hell? Like, why is it that Governor Justice is offering us a 1% raise and our health care premiums just went up, 5%, 10%? How is it that we're making less money today than we did 10 years ago? How is it that we're on this Charlie Chaplin modern days, running, and it's worse, not better? And in some ways, since West Virginia totally voted for Trump, they're like, oh, and this wasn't the hopey, changey thing either. So something happened that there was people talking to each other. And the thing that we did, which didn't get a lot of play initially, was this. Internally within our union, I'm sure this happened within NEA, I got you can't go on strike in West Virginia. You can't do this in West Virginia. I basically said, and look, I'm a lawyer, so I could out-lawyer the lawyers. I basically said, I don't want to see the legal brief. Good, fine. Thank you for telling me all of the different reasons that, all of the different fears you have. You've now done your job. And I called our West Virginia folks, and I said, the National will support you in anything you do. And we will be side by side with you in anything we do. We are your backstop. We have your back. We're building community. And do not take the safe way out here. My judgment. Do not take the safe way out. Now, frankly, in West Virginia, I don't think they could have, even if they wanted to. But the fact is that we created an infrastructure, a back office in terms of the union, to try and make sure that they had the support that they needed to wage the battle they needed to wage. So what was the trigger? I think they decided after the women's marches and after despair was so great and frustration was so great, enough was enough. Despair ought not be the strategy. Organizing ought to be the strategy, not agonizing. However, many of us are Jewish and we agonize a lot anyway, regardless. But
organize, don't agonize.
Yes, organize, don't agonize. But I tell you that because I think that the people who think, it was a Twitter moment or a Facebook moment. No, that really did help the mobilizing. That was really important. But if you don't organize and have infrastructure on top of that to make it successful, it ain't gonna work. And that is also, Exhibit A of what PSC did in the absence of a strike, and that's also Exhibit A of what LA did and what recently Chicago did. So How do you create power? I just felt like I had to tell that story first. How do you create it? How did we create it years ago? Density. Density was how we created power. You all know that chart. We were a third of the population. So, and when unions were a third of the population, we had, growth, the highest middle class. We've seen that chart. Steve has talked about that chart. And as that has diminished, we have had less bargaining power because there are less people. And then there's less bargaining, or there's less political power because there's less members in unions. So the issue of having people, that's a way of having power. But how do you actually do something about that? So in our union, we have a little phrase, community is the new density. And not in a way that says, oh, let's put a press release out so we can get community support. That's bullshit. If that's how you're thinking about it, it ain't gonna work. It has to be really, really, really part of your DNA as a union in 2019 that you are about community aspirations. You have to be. Now, frankly, it may be easier. I would actually argue that that's what you saw in the Stop and Shop strike, and that's what you saw in terms of the Marriott strike. What was the line? And it's not just what was the hashtag. What was the line that Unite Here used in the Marriott strike? One job should be enough. One job should be enough. Stop and Shop. These are grocery store workers in northeastern United States of America. People in Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island would not walk into that Stop and Shop, those Stop and Shop stores. They completely lost their Easter and Passover business because of the loyalty between the public that use those stores and the grocery workers. So what happened here? What am I talking about in terms of also power? So power is numbers, but power is also narrative. It's not just organizing. Organizing is absolutely vital. Infrastructure is absolutely vital. Rank and file support is absolutely vital. But if you don't tell a story that people feel, and they feel that they are in there, it ain't gonna work. So my point is, what's our narrative? Are we gonna be shaped by their narrative? We were for a long time. The teachers union, all we do is protect people who ought not be teaching. That's being shaped by their narrative. We got to be shaped by our narrative. What was the narrative in Chicago? You all know it. And yes, you use media to then advertise it. We were on, what did the National Union do? We worked with all of them. We spent the money, thousands of it. Thousands of it. That's what our dues go to. We advertised on Black radio. We advertised on progressive radio. We did huge digital advertising in the first few days of the strike. That was part of framing because what Lori Lightfoot did was she said she made a bet, which is in some ways the bet that a lot of progressive bosses make, which is, okay, we'll do money. We'll do a raise. Teachers need a raise. But, all those conditional things, those are managerial prerogatives. We're not going to touch that. We want to have the control of the shop. And we're like, what are you doing? 45% of the kids in America have trauma. We need to have nurses, guidance counselors, and social workers. And no, Madam Mayor, it's not good enough that you put it in your budget. We have to actually have it in every school. It can't wait 10 more years. So that strike was about that. It was about other things as well, but it was about that. And if you're not able to communicate that to the public, and if your members don't believe that in a real way, that's what happened. If you walked in Chicago anytime, it was not red for ed. It was keep your promises, put it in writing. So power, Community is our new density. Winning the narrative. Creating a different kind of environment so that people in the outside world see that if there's unions, that's going to make it better for everyone. In Lordstown, people understood that. The Lordstown plant, when it was opened, this is one one of my locals. Sandy Hook, one of our locals. People in communities said, you know, when GM workers got a raise at the Lordstown plant, it meant that on Main Street, there was a whole lot more spending. And so the last thing we're doing is we're trying to figure out how do we bring all that together? Values to actions, building community in a real way within our union and outside our union, and narrative to organizing. And you can see the various different things we do. Funding our future, the freedom to teach, the freedom to live on one job's wages with real retirement security, with health care so we're not one illness away from bankruptcy, without crushing student debt. These are community issues, not just our own members' issues. And the right to have on our streets, climate, in our environment, and in our schools and our hospitals, a welcoming and safe environment. So it comes down to power. The right wing tried to kill the power. They tried to privatize public education, defund higher education. 41 states spend less in higher education today than they did 10 years ago. 41 states. You wonder why adjunct pay is so You wonder why student loans are so high? 41 states. So they've tried to privatize when austerity created all these situations, destabilize, get rid of the vote for the new, emerging electorate in the United States. Even when you win the vote again, like for felons or former felons in Florida, where I was yesterday, then they're trying to do poll taxes on that. And they try to get rid of union power. We can recreate it. What the strikes of the last 2-3 years have shown is that we can recreate it. But we got to get to scale, and we got to sustain, and that means winning elections to enable having different kinds of laws so we can do our work. Thank you very much.
This past October, teachers in Chicago, the nation's third largest school district with more than 300,000 children, went on strike, holding marches and rallies across the city. 11 days later, the teachers' union and the city reached a labor contract deal that included pay raises over 5 years. Vice President of the Chicago Teachers Union, Stacy Davis Gates, was a key player for the union before, during, and after the strike. And she joins us now via Skype from Chicago. So, Stacy, thank you so much for joining us. First off, how happy are you that you are not walking the picket lines right now in the Chicago winter? We're talking at the end of January.
Well, look, I'm more happy that we settled a contract that provides our school communities with more of what they deserve versus what has happened over time. So, I'm pleased for the sacrifice our members made. 11 days on a picket line is not an easy thing. The city of Chicago, our parents were really supportive in this fight. They saw the fight as one to bring true justice and equity to their school communities as well.
Now, you have said that this isn't just about any individual aspect of the negotiations. It was really about the question of racial justice and education justice for the students and for the teachers. What does that mean to you? What does education and racial justice mean to you?
Well, in America, when a thing that should be universally applied is not universally applied, it is typically rooted in white supremacy and racism, right? And so to divorce the fact that Black schools on the south side of Chicago don't have nurses and social workers away from racial justice and equity would have been foolish of us, in this fight. The clarifying time of a strike is to make sure that you use the platform and the megaphone to try and exact the type of change that's necessary for structural revolution. And that's what we did. It is easy to not shine a light on the South Side of Chicago when all you hear about it in mainstream media is that it's violent, that is impoverished, that it doesn't have a thing. What we were able to do is use our megaphone to humanize the space. These are spaces in which our members inhabit on a daily basis with actual children who need things, families who depend on those institutions. And so we took our time to make sure that we could tell the story as authentically as we experienced the story, and that we could also lift up the voices of our allies and our parents who are in those spaces all the time.
So very quickly, your demands and what you won, because you didn't win everything, but you won a lot.
Well, we wouldn't win everything. That is the nature of collective bargaining. I'm still waiting on the revolution, but that is the nature of collective bargaining. So what listen, we wanted to shift the paradigm in Chicago. We had an opportunity politically with the new mayor who said that she believed what we believed when she was on the campaign trail. So we took her up on that offer. And what we said is that we needed a nurse in every school in Chicago. And we got that. We said that we needed a social worker in every school in Chicago. We got that. We said that we needed to lower class size to make instruction more manageable, to make the focus on teaching and learning in a space where kids could actually get something from it. And we got those things too. We said that we wanted to begin to have a larger, broader discussion about the lack of affordability in the city of Chicago, not just for the members who work in the school buildings, but for the families that inhabit our school communities as well. And we started that discussion, and we were able to transform the way in which we offer services to students who are living in temporary living situations, which is also known as students who are tagged as homeless. And so what we do now is that we have extra supports, actual personnel and support for students who are experiencing the trauma of homelessness.
Now, this goes way beyond what people have been fighting around in the last, well, decade or so. Would you say that you have gone from being on the defensive, trying to stop closures or attacks on collective bargaining, to the offensive, towards that revolution that you talked about?
Well, I think we're going to have to continue to do both. Like the billionaires who've been trying to kill us for the last couple of decades are still billionaires, and their aim, has not dulled any. So we're going to have to both play offense and defense. I think what you saw in this past labor fight was offense. And I think that playing defense in which we identify those who need the most, lift up their stories, and be good allies in helping those who need the most also be a part of the leadership of this movement. One of the things that we've been very deliberate about is that we can't just lift up a voice, that voice has to be lifted itself. And so we've done a lot of work with community partners, we've done a lot of work with grassroots organizations for the last decade. We say it all the time, we joined them. They were already protesting school closings, the hyper privatization of our school communities, and we joined them. And so, what they have helped us do, quite frankly, is direct the type of voice and fight to ameliorate privatization. Look, we're not opening charter schools anymore in Chicago. We are organizing charter school educators and paraprofessionals in those spaces now. We've had the first 3 strikes in the history of that industry in Chicago last year. So these are things that have been transformed because we've taken good leadership from the community and have worked hand in glove with those in the community.
So I'm hearing a justice approach, partnering, a solidarity building with other unions, other workers, and members of the community. You also mentioned this didn't just begin with a strike or two. You're talking going back to 2010 when your union, the CTU, saw a major change that you and Karen Lewis were a huge part of. Talk about that, because that buildup is something that our money media never discuss.
Well, listen, I'll tell it from a very personal story. My school was closed. Arnie Duncan, who was then the CEO of the Chicago Public Schools, he basically told us we didn't know what we were doing, and we have failed our students, and we have failed the larger community. So there was a group of us who pushed back on that concept of failure, especially when it didn't come with any commitment of resources, especially when it was decontextualized for the type of gentrification that was going on in the communities that surrounded our school communities. And so the new leadership that basically transformed our union, to be honest with you, they basically said we're going to have a very strong perspective on racial justice and how the factors of gentrification, the dismantling of affordable housing, the hyper use of occupation and not public safety in our neighborhoods fuel this removal of Black people from Chicago and do not provide us with the type of resources and supports that we need in our school communities. So we began to dismantle and react to and push back and resist this narrative that teachers were the problem, and that privatization was the answer, and that school closings was the solution. And so we pushed back on that. And by pushing back on that, we're where we are now. This doesn't happen overnight. Look, we had a fantastic strike in 2012 of where we fought the power and we were able to maintain some things. But in 2013, Rahm Emanuel closed down 50 schools that Black children attended. So again, you got to play offense, but you also have to be able to continue to defend. 2019, this particular strike showed, I think, our entire country that not only do you fight and you win, but you call the shot before you take it. And you say that this is what we need, and you don't cower, you don't become anxious about it, and you don't minimize your needs because someone tells you you can't have it.
It sounds to me like you're really going from bargaining to building a movement. What are you going
Absolutely.
after next? I'm thinking in part about some of the innovative demands that you made in the strike that weren't met, the ones around housing, around corporate taxes, around funds for development that haven't so far been going to help the community's schools.
Well, those are the things that we're still going to have to work on, right? And these are the things that we continue to ally with our partners around. Look, we're going to always ask for more than what, the ruling class will provide. That's just the very nature of movement work and collective bargaining. And we continue to have the fights around our needs. Look, the Chicago public schools will always need more revenue, and we're going to fight for more revenue. So the General Assembly just started today. They're back in session. We're going to put forth an agenda to ask for progressive revenue as we've been doing for the last 10 years. We're going to expect that when developers come to Chicago, that they're going to be able to provide affordable housing, because if families can't live in the city, then we don't have an opportunity to educate them. Look, there has been a pause on development in one of the hottest neighborhoods in the city right now. These are people that we've been working with over time. These are elected officials that we helped to get elected. And so this work, while lifted up and fever pitch, if you will, during a strike, continues. And we've already seen a couple of things manifest post-strike.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, we're in an election season where people are focused on the presidential race, but there's a lot of other races happening too. At the local level, what are some of the things people could be demanding when you talk about a revenue share or new progressive revenue coming into a community? It's new for teachers' unions to be getting into the weeds of city budgets. Why are you going there, and what are your specific demands that maybe other people could echo?
In order to usher in the type of school communities that we need, that we have to do something about the neighborhoods in which our school communities sit. And that means that we're going to have some fights alongside allies about what those communities get to look like, what type of investment they get to receive from our tax dollars, by the way, because we're living here in the city. We're owning our space, and we are using our agency both as educators, as tax-paying citizens in Chicago, and as people who believe in the humanity of others.
So Stacy, let me ask you to give a shout out to teachers all across this country who may be watching the program, what's the biggest takeaway from your victory and your movement that you're building there in Chicago?
I think that teachers have to take their space. When we sign up to become educators, we did not sign up to be told what to do. Quite the contrary, we signed up to make a transformation in this world through enlightening our students, through having relationships with them and their families, through building community and ushering in a common good that looks like justice and equity. That is the job of public education.
Stacy Davis Gates is the Vice President of the CTU, the Chicago Teachers Union. And big props to you and the movement you're building there, Stacy. Thanks for taking some time to talk with us today. Thanks again to Stacy Davis Gates. That's it for this month's edition of CityWorks. If you have comments or suggestions, write to us. That's cityworks@slu.cuny.edu. And thanks. For CityWorks, I'm Laura Flanders.